Hi, welcome to the recording of the Sheep, Lamb and Wool Price Where to From Here webinar. This webinar was presented by Robert Herrmann from Mecardo on the 29th of July 2020. This is clip 6 of 7 and covers wool prices, volume and market peak.
Let's get on to my favourite subject, the wool market. I just want to, just a little bit of background here. We used to look at the wool market that it cycled, you know, had 18 month up, 18 months down, 3-year cycles, that sort of thing. Those cycles really have been disrupted ever since the reserve price scheme, or sorry, more correctly, the wool stockpile was sold. So we had a wool stockpile that dampened down prices and interfered with the market cycles. We then had the global financial crisis. But what we've had now is a long, steady period of growing wool prices, right up to peaking in mid-2018. And it meant that all wool growers got 2, maybe even 3 good wool checks, providing you weren't severely, impacted by the drought. You were able to, build up a bit of a buffer. But the reality was that the market had already turned down. In 2018, looking back now, we know that the market had turned down. What we were thinking of, though, was that it was bouncing along through late 2019, up and down, but pretty stable. And our feeling was, and I think that everyone in the industry was, that given the very low supply, the market would hold around these levels and perhaps then move off a little bit, when things started to improve. The reality was, though, that we had, phase 2 emerged of the decline, and that was the COVID problem. Now, we'll talk a little bit about that demand situation in a minute. One of the interesting factors is, though, that all through this period we've been not only improving prices up till 2018, but we've had declining wool clip. And so in 2016 to 2018 we were selling 39,000 bales a week, almost 40,000 bales a week. In the next year period we dropped down to 32 or 33,000 bales a week, and in this financial year just gone we were at 26,500 bales. And in fact, on this chart here, you can see the last 2 sales, which were in this new financial year before the winter recess, we sold 30,000 bales, which was good. The market was a little bit better. But in the period in this last 6 months, we battled to sell 20,000 bales a week. And just keep that in mind, because it becomes important when we talk a little bit later about what might be ahead. We know that wool is a discretionary spend item, and I spent a fair bit of time talking about sheep meats because there's a lot of positive stories about that. And the reason that wool doesn't have the same positive stories as meat at the moment, and is more problematical, is because it needs consumer confidence and GDP growth to support it. And consumer confidence fell off a cliff. This is sort of my glass half full side of the story. One of the things with wool is that we've sort of been a bit concerned over the last few years that China has been buying 80% of our wool. And I think with good reason. I don't think it's healthy to have such a dominant country on your commodity. However, that might work in our favour now, because we know that the stories coming out of China is that things are getting back to normal very quickly, and they're a country where they can make things happen very quickly. And being our biggest export destination is one thing. They take 80% of our wool, but they also consume, their population consumes 40% of our wool. So a recovery in the consumer confidence index in China would relate directly back to increasing purchases of wool and demand for our product. Of course, a market always relies on not just the 80% buyer, it relies on the other buyers to sort of push the market along. And if they're active, then prices go up. If they're not active, well, we see things stagnate a bit. And while China, I think, will be a positive story, the other big processing light on the horizon for us was India, and it might be a really negative story because of their problems. But I think we can say that the China wool demand will be, like every other country, will be driven by consumer confidence and GDP growth. And the optimistic in me will say that that might happen sooner rather than later.
Thank you for watching this short clip. For more information, please visit www.leadingsheep.com.au.